Welcome back to Sorare Edge. Hope you had a good All-Star break. I know I've been chomping at the bit to get back into this. We're going to go over our top 10 plays of the week, see how they differ from our first look video, and then we'll run through all your L10 thresholds. Game week 34. Let's do this. All right, looking at the top 10 plays of the week, they have changed a little bit. Tyrese Halliburton remains your top play, difference of 30.72 between the top end of his normal range and his 37 current L10. The 2 spot is Trey Mann. We thought possibly LaMelo Ball would be back after the break. He is still out. That means about 30 minutes probably for Trey Mann. L10 still just 16, high end in the low 40s. 3 games this weekend. In the 3rd spot, I still have Andre Drummond. RotoWire expects him to start. I also expect him to start. In the 2 starts he's had with Vucevic recently, he's played 28 and 34 minutes. I'm estimating the low end of that range, and even with the low end estimate, we're almost at 50 points for a top end. L10 of 26, I think you can get him in there. Keegan Murray in Sacramento becomes an even better play this weekend with Domantas Sabonis out. Domantas Sabonis is battling an illness. He missed practice yesterday. He is deemed doubtful for tonight, but very slim chance he plays. I think he is out tonight. That means more opportunity offensively for Keegan Murray. He's just a 22 L10, high end of 45, and that's in normal circumstances. So if he has a little more points per minute with Sabonis out, I think he could beat that. 2 games for Sacramento this weekend. Alex Len in Sacramento is the prime beneficiary of Sabonis being out. They're going to have to play bigs. They're going to have to play McGee. They're going to have to play Len. Len's the one they project for more minutes right now. He's projected at about 22. He's almost a point a minute when he's in there. L10 of just 7. High end around 30, 2 games for Sacramento. At least 1 without Sabonis, so we'll see what he does tonight. I wouldn't be afraid to get him in your underdogs or to sneak him into the end of a contender. Jordan Clarkson in Utah we talked about in the first look video. He's still in play for sure. 33 minutes. His minutes are pretty safe. 0.89. Not great, not terrible. High end in the low 40s. 2 games for Utah. De'Aaron Fox in Sacramento. Here's another one that was in our first look video who gets a little bit of a bump with Sabonis out. He's obviously going to have to take on a lot more usage. 39 expected minutes, 43 for a current L10, but he can get you in the low 60s, and I think he's going to be shooting it a lot tonight. 2 games for Sacramento. If you have an Evan Fournier, this is your opportunity to play him. He's a 9 L10, low 20s range for minutes. This is another guy that Monty Williams is playing over his young players in a lost season, which just doesn't make any sense, but if you have been watching Detroit all year, this is kind of what Monty Williams does. I expect Fournier to keep playing because, why would he do anything logical? And if that's the case, I think he can get you almost 30, 2 games for Detroit. I'll skip over Jokic in Denver because he's obviously in if you have him. And then Darius Garland in Cleveland. Minutes restrictions been lifted. Expect him to get in the low 30s today. He's a 23 L10. Top end's also in the low 40s, so that's a great play. 3 games for Cleveland over the weekend, and this guy obviously is talented, and he can go off for a bigger game. There's your top 10. All right, let's start with the microcap tier here. Davis Bertans is a 6 in Charlotte. He's been getting about 12 minutes a night. That puts him high end in that 18.83 range. Good for a 6, but with the other guys in this range, you may want to look elsewhere unless you really need that extra point in cap space. 3 games for Charlotte this weekend. I expect him to play. Alex Len in Sacramento, obviously we talked about already, but a high end almost 30 with a 7. This is a no-brainer for me. JaVale McGee actually also in Sacramento. They've got him at about 14 minutes. That puts him in the low 20s for a top end. They may be wrong. It may be McGee starting and Len coming off the bench. Mike Brown seems to go back and forth with these guys who he's using. So if McGee's the starter, I would expect him to be in the high 20s and Len to be in the low 20s. Hard to know who to go with. I'm just going with what RotoWire is projecting. Len has been playing a little more recently than McGee has. I think Len's probably the pick. McGee could certainly be in play for you, though. Fournier in Detroit we also talked about. So that's your micro caps. Let's look at pricing on those. Right now, Fournier is the most expensive, but it's pretty affordable at $4. Len $3.56. Sneaky value here on McGee at $1.18. May want to take a look at him. Even if he doesn't start, I think you still play him. $1.18. That's about as cheap as they get. And Bertans still affordable. $1.48 for a 6 if you want a budget guy. All right, in this next tier, I'm not finding a whole lot to write home about until we get up to about 15. Cam Reddish is back in LA. LeBron is out tonight. 3 games for the Lakers over the weekend, so I guess you could give him a try if you want. But their team's changed since he last played with them, so I think Dinwiddie's going to play over him now. To like Najee Marshall in New Orleans, You've got Dyson Daniels out with an injury for the foreseeable future, 3 games for New Orleans. Got Marshall getting about 18 minutes. Sometimes he gets more than that. With 18 minutes, he's projected at about 24 for a top end, so 14. Still not great. Once you get into the 15 range, Cole Anthony's interesting. So Markelle Fultz is out tonight. Orlando has 3 games in the next 4 days. Anthony's been seeing a few more minutes, and with Fultz out, I think he gets probably high teens, maybe even into the low to mid 20s. If that's the case, I think he's capable of getting you at least to this 30 range. Nice play here. Trey Mann, we talked about obviously in top 10 plays. He's one of your best of the week. He's going to be a little more expensive. Pretty popular, I would assume. We go all the way up to 19 to the next interesting guy, and that's Benedict Mathurin. So Aaron Nesmith is out in Indy. Mathurin is down to a 19 L10. I've got him pegged at 26 minutes. I think there's a pretty decent chance he plays more than that. At 26 minutes, that puts him right around 35 for a top-end score, which is good enough to play on a 19 for sure. 2 games for Indy. And closing it out, Spencer Dinwiddie in LA. I've got him at 25 minutes. He's been playing more like 29 or 30. And with LeBron out tonight in LA, I think there's a good chance he gets back to that level. I've got him conservatively estimated at 25. That puts him in the 35 range as well, and 3 games for LA. I think he's a good play over the weekend. Taking a look at prices on those lower end mid caps. Anthony at 15, only $4, so a decent deal there. Dinwiddie still just above 5 at a 20. Mathurin and Mann, much more expensive, both over $10. All right, second half of the mid caps. Jordan Clarkson, we already talked about. I think he's a great play this week. Keegan Murray, we already talked about. I think he's a great play this week. 3 more at 22, kind of interesting. So Russell Westbrook in LA, down to a 22. He's going to be fresh coming off the break. If he can get mid-20s minutes, I think he's in a good spot here. 3 games. Grayson Allen in Phoenix. Bradley Beal is questionable tonight. Multiple injuries. He plays big minutes regardless, so he may get bigger minutes if Beal is out. 3-point shots falling, he can put you up a 50. Top end of 37 with 3 games. Good on a 22. Kevin Huerter, he's a 36 on a 22, which isn't spectacular, but with Sabonis out, maybe he gets a little more of a bump today, so we'll see. 2 games for the Kings. 23, we already talked about Garland. I think he's a nice play. Trey Murphy's been getting a few more minutes in New Orleans since Dyson Daniels went down. I've got him about 29. That puts him in the high 30s, so for a low 20s L10, he's definitely playable. Paul Reed, at about 28 minutes recently. Puts him in the low 40s. We got 3 games for Philly. I think you can get him in there if you want. Drummond we talked about. Michael Porter in Denver. Also a nice play this week with 3 games. I've got him pegged low 40s for a top end of his normal range. He just needs to get hot. He's 0.96 a minute. That's good. Malik Monk, another Sacramento King. He's been playing very well. Minutes right around 30. I don't think he varies too much from that. Maybe he has a higher minute game tonight. We'll see. Middle 40s top end is good. 2 games for Sacramento. Derek White, anytime he's under 30, I think he's in play. High 40s for a top end for him. 2 games for Boston. And then the former teammates, Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, both 30s this week. I think you can play either of these guys. Turner's got 2 games. He's off the injury report. I think he's going to play. He's been getting a few more minutes lately, kind of up from about 27 to 30 recently. High 40s when he gets that many minutes. Same thing with Hield. He's been a better play recently at 21 or 22, but at 30, he's actually still in play, and 3 games for Philly. Prices, Drummond, the cheapest out of this group, and I think he's one of the better plays, so this might be something to take advantage of. Darius Garland all the way up to $17.61 for his lowest priced card. That's a little surprising, I guess. Keegan Murray over 11. Derek White, Derek White's a great guy to have. Clarkson's up to $8. These are going to be popular plays today. Oh, the sun is brutal. Okay, so for my blue chip plays, I'm just going to go over the guys who have a difference of 15 or more between their top end of their normal range and their L10 score. So first one's going to be CJ McCollum at 31, 3 games for New Orleans. Jaylen Brown has 2 games. Project him a little over 50. He's at 33. Paul George with 3 games. I think he's a nice play at 35. 36, you got a couple options. Lillard, Şengün, and Murray. Murray, of course, coming off injury again. We'll see if he's back to full strength. I think he probably is. Lillard had a great All-Star weekend. Şengün, obviously, I really like all 36s. Halliburton's your play of the week at 37. Maxey, great play at 38 with 3 games. Project him in the high 50s. Scotty Barnes, you can always throw in there, 39. De'Aaron Fox, a really nice play this week at 43. Booker at 44. Both of those guys project over 60. And then your last two, Giannis at 54. I've got him up in the high 60s. A couple games for the Bucks. And then Jokic, 55. We got him in the mid-70s in 3 games. It's always a good week to play Jokic. All right, good luck, everybody. We'll see you back here for the first look at Game Week 35.